So welcome to this quarter's Fraternal Forum. This month is coffee with the Fraternal and the outreach teams. So we've all got our cups. Like that. So for those of you who don't know me, we are recording this and this will be shared later on our webpage and on our YouTube. My name is Caitlin Rose Bisek. I am one of the Fraternal Outreach Coordinators here with Catholic Order of Foresters. I focus in feeding God's children and the West region. So that's Wisconsin, Minnesota, Iowa, and just keep going that way.
Yeah.
And then I'll throw it over here. We have Michael Cesario.
I'm Michael Cesario, the Fraternal Outreach Coordinator for the East region. And I focus primarily on the alternative break and mission trips. We're going to be talking a little bit about that during this episode. So yeah. And then here we have Judy James.
I am Judy James, AVP of Fraternal, work with all the local courts. We do the awards, matching funds, so scholarships. So we stay busy all day.
Yes, we do.
So Michael, I'll ask, and Caitlin Rose, I'll ask you a question.
Yeah.
How would someone find all the fraternal outreach information to learn how they can get involved?
So I think that's like the $1 million question, Judy, because we have a lot of good content out there and a lot of opportunities for people. The question becomes, how do they find it? So I would say first, the website. Go out to the website. We have a lot of things posted there under Fraternal Outreach and other places as well. And that's a really good place to find it. Also, if you're looking at our magazine, that's a really good place to have all the information. It's well managed so that we kind of put strategic content throughout the year on different things that we want to promote. So I would definitely say the magazine as well. And those lovely emails that you guys should be receiving from us, which Caitlin Rose, I know you are a good designer in those emails and always sending those out. So I would say that's really the places. Any other places?
No, I'll just also add, if you're not receiving our emails and are interested, please email outreach@catholicforester.org and we'll get you signed up for those. So.
For sure,
Right.
for sure.
Thank you. So
Yeah.
What are the most common FGC events that the membership hosts?
Ooh, the most common ones. I think, so the most common ones that I've seen is probably our food drive events, right? Kind of gathered around the church, the parish community coming together to bring canned goods usually to a place where they all pack them up and then they distribute them in the community. I would think that's probably our most common, but that's certainly not the only type of events that we see. Isn't that right, Caitlin Rose?
Oh yeah, especially this past year, we saw a lot of outdoor events such as yard cleanups or roadside cleanups, different social distance, things like that. And those, yeah, definitely took an uptick last year.
Yeah.
And it's a great way to get outside and get involved.
And then what about in the fall, like gloves, hats,
Oh yeah.
socks? All the homeless shelters always need socks and things like that.
Yes.
Year round, they say socks are the most needed item.
Correct. And if you look at the magazine, there's lots of good ideas.
There is a ton of good ideas in the magazine. And as a matter of fact, I think this past fall/winter season, we've saw, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 sock events.
Yeah.
So that was encouraging. And you're right, Judy, that is an item that a lot of homeless shelters, they always request. So really, the thing with feeding God's children that I love is that the parameters are so loose on it that anybody could do anything. So aside from these that we mentioned, anything that you guys want to do out there, just let us know.
Use your imagination.
That's right. That's right.
So,
I like this coffee with Judy and the outreach team. This is good.
well, let's talk about fraternalism.
Yes, yes.
So what is fraternalism? Fraternalism is a group of like-minded people getting together to help others in their community.
Yes.
We have a responsibility to help our fellow man. It is about giving, caring, helping out when we see a need. It may be a need for clothes, food, shelter, or just to be able to listen to someone talk and relieve what they're holding inside.
Oh, yeah. And it's at the core of who we are. You know, we wouldn't be anything without our fraternalism and our connection to it. So I would say it's really important to the Catholic Order of Foresters.
Right. Yep. So the next question.
Yeah, so Judy, I wanted to know, how can somebody run for a court officer position? Could you explain that process a little bit?
So court officers are elected in September, October, and November. So if someone is interested in becoming a court officer, they need to be at that court meeting, and hopefully all the local courts are notifying all their members of when that is taking place. That is what you are supposed to do. If you're holding elections, every member is supposed to be notified. So they would go to the meeting and say, well, I want to run to be the recording secretary. And then all the people there would vote and see who makes it.
Okay,
And they have to have their Vertus training.
right.
And then if they're new, sometimes it's kind of scary. So if they call in to me, we can walk them through it. We really don't have anything on paper that says, here's your job exactly how it is. All the courts kind of seem to do it a little bit different. Some still use the old books.
Really?
Yeah, that have been downstairs for a long time.
Oh, those.
But most of them, I have to say, go just keep everything on the computer.
Okay,
So
very cool. And then how often are elections held?
elections are held yearly.
Yearly, okay, very cool.
And
So,
then they have a lot of paperwork they do need to get done, but we have to have that on record because I do a report for the IRS every year. So I have to have a contact person for each court to name on my report. So that's why we have to make sure all the paperwork is complete.
okay. Very cool, very cool. Yeah, it's an interesting process.
Well, there's a lot of things behind the scenes. I mean, just like people don't realize that we do a report to the IRS.
Sure.
Every court's got to have a contact person.
Right,
It's one of the requirements.
right.
Sometimes I think people just think we want the paperwork. I mean, it's a lot of work for us too, as it all starts to come in. But there are reasons for everything.
For sure,
So.
very cool. And I kind of want to pause right here too. Sherry, do you have any questions for us? So we kind of went through a few different topics. I just kind of wanted to check in with you and see if you had any questions or comments on that.
Actually, we do not have a court up here at all. And I'm not sure where the closest court is to us, but I do know that there's one in Shawano, which is about an hour and a half away. And I know that there isn't an agent in that area right now because that's one of the areas that they've given those members my contact information.
Mm,
So I do know that they have a court there.
Right, and
Other than that,
they are very active.
okay,
They do a lot of things.
yeah, they do. Yeah, oh yeah,
Oh, yeah.
but they do not have an agent in that area because that area, Tony has said, had the marketing department or whatever, send letters to people in that area that if they needed help or anything that they could reach out to me. I have had some phone calls from that area in regard to changing beneficiaries or updating things, but I have yet to do any issuing of any new policies in that area.
A lot of service work.
Yes, but that's okay.
Yep.
there
Get your foot in the door. Yep. Always works.
you go. Good, good. Well, thank you. So kind of along those lines a little bit, Judy, in the court system, we were curious too, if you could kind of go through the rules and percentages breakdown for court donations.
Okay, so every year in January, a letter is sent to the court officers stating what their annual budget is. One question we get all the time is donations. So donations for the year are capped of 25% of your budget. No exceptions, because sometimes we get to the end of the year and they're like, well, I have all this money left. Can I send it? No, that money is to be used on your members. Have a Christmas party or do something. So you are actually capped at 25% of your annual budget,
Okay,
because those funds are for the members,
okay.
to be used for the members.
And what kind of things can they use those,
They
that
can do a
25%?
picnic, they can
Okay.
do a Halloween party. Most of the courts don't, they do a Christmas gathering.
Okay, very cool.
And the more you invite, the better,
Of course, well, like any party, yes. Oh, yeah,
because you're supposed to invite all your members.
I see.
And then sometimes I will even get a phone call where Well, I heard they had a Christmas party. I wasn't invited. So people do want to join, but they need to know, and they can put it on the website, right
Right,
on their court website.
very cool.
If they list everything, the people can at least go there and use it and see, okay, this is what's going on, this is what's going on. For the year, you could even put it.
Very cool. Okay,
Mhm.
not bad.
So let me ask you two a question.
Yes.
How many FGC events can a court host per year?
Ooh,
There is no limit on how many FGC events you can host in a year. We actually encourage you to host as many as humanly possible.
yes.
So get out there, get started. Not everyone has to be a huge like meal packing event. You could do one of those and do a food drive and make cards for the retirement center. You can do different things every time. We just ask that you keep us informed on what those are. And that's by going on our website, going to the Feeding God's Children section and registering all of your events. Then if you're doing the same event multiple times, there's an option for doing this event multiple times, so you only have to register once. We try to make it as easy as possible for you to do as many as possible.
So if a court is doing, say, 6 things throughout the year, they already have a plan, they can register all 6 at once.
Yep.
That would be awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, because then we kind of know what's going on and then we could kind of coordinate and hopefully there's going to be pictures taken at these events and we could kind of
Sure.
have a better idea of what's going on.
We might even come to the event.
Yes.
Now
Yeah,
things are starting to open up a little bit. So
Yeah.
hopefully we'll be able to get out there more.
I really hope so. Yeah.
And what about service trips throughout the year?
So oh, did you have a question, Sherry?
I was wondering, where does the court get their funding to host their events?
From their annual budget.
But the annual budget comes from where?
The annual budget is what we get from the high court. And that's their money that they have set for the year. And as they hold activities, they send in reports and we reimburse it, direct deposit into their bank account.
Okay, so they get money from the high court.
Right. So say a court spent $50 on their Feeding God's Children, maybe they had to buy a few things and then afterwards just had snacks. They would send in the reimbursement and then we would direct deposit it into their account.
Okay, so if we don't have a court and we do plan, I'm working on having a spirituality tap-in in August. And we are working on possibly doing like an outdoor lawn cleanup type event with the youth, like in the fall. So since we don't have a court, would the church just fund those costs by themselves, or how does that work?
So I will comment. So the spirituality tap-in is going to be separate. So we're going to work with the agent on that. And so the funding through that comes through a different channel. Now, this other event with the church, so with the funding, we try to make all of these FGC events as best as we can to run on donations, right? So, or to be very cost effective. So with the situation of not having a court, I would say that in my experience that we've seen some different options, either community people kind of helping out in kind of different unique ways to gather donations for that. Or a lot of times, like if it's a cleanup, a lot of times there's really no set cost with that. It's just people coming out, donating their time and, grabbing a rake and doing stuff like that. So really on those type of events, we don't see
Minimal cost.
yeah, very minimal costs with that.
I mean, a lot of people will just grab what they have in the house, put their garbage bags and everything. And
A lot of
and
times.
there's no cost,
Right,
but you're doing a great thing. And
right,
you can see the results when you're done.
exactly.
And that's what it's all about.
That's the best part of our
Yes,
fraternalism right
yes.
there.
Yes, and Caitlin and I have gone over the expenses and how it works for the tap-in. So I've
Okay,
got
good,
that part figured out, so.
good, good.
And I will say, we've seen where we've needed donations, like financial donations. It's amazing when you put something out to the parish, how much they'll respond and help out with that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it's for their community and they know their parish is going to look so much better and things that need to be done.
Right.
And everybody likes to get out there and help.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Yeah,
course.
of course, of course. And then Judy, were you asking about the service trips this year? So as of this year, we have 2 trips planned. So we have, for the first time, breaking it down with our college age members, and then a separate trip for our adult members, anybody over the age of 25. So the college age group, we're going to call that trip our alternative break. And that's the term we've used in the past. And the trip for anybody over the age of 25 is going to be our mission trip. So I don't know about you guys, but I'm super excited for our trips this year. We have our first one coming up July 18th to 24th. And we'll be kind of picking up people along the way and going to West Virginia at a place called Bethlehem Farm. And so that's going to be a week of service, reflection, prayer, a really special place that I cannot wait to go. So we have a group going down with that, and they're all members. And that's the other thing with these breaks. We want everybody to become a member to participate in them.
And so how is your first trip looking? Is it full?
It's a good question, Judy. So it's almost full. We have a few open spots. I think they're going to be filled quickly. I've been talking to a few different people who are interested in coming. However, if anybody out there is listening and wants to come, or know anybody that would benefit in coming, please reach out to us and we can hopefully get you a spot before July 18th.
And what are we looking at, 12?
Yes. Yeah. So this year, both of the trips, because of COVID concerns, are capped at 12 people each. So, which is still a pretty good size group. It's not as big as the group we had in Texas, but still a good time. Yeah.
Lots of work to do.
Lots of work to do.
And it's going to be warm,
It's going to be very hot in the mountains of West
but
Virginia.
it's going to be beautiful.
Yes,
Oh, yeah.
yes. And the core of that trip is really, we talked about fraternalism earlier. That's fraternalism at its essence, because what we'll be doing is we'll be helping out a impoverished community down in southern West Virginia. And a lot of these people don't have proper housing. A lot of them, when they go to sleep, they have holes in their roofs. So water can come in if it rains. And a lot of them don't even have clean drinking water. So I was surprised to learn all about this. And it's a lot of these things that a lot of people don't realize, that the poverty level in our country and the need that people have. So these trips really are designed to combat that. So it's really at the core of who we are and what we do.
Michael, you bring that up about having holes in your roof. My daughter-in-law is in, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
But she went to an estate sale and she goes all over. She was in West Virginia and she went into this poor man's house and literally the ceiling was wide open. She said there was one little room that he had that he could use where it was closed up.
Wow.
So yeah, it's out there. We're just not aware of it because we don't see it. But yeah, it's there.
Exactly.
Poor man.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
And I would say too, our trip to Texas, that was a perfect example too of our fraternalism. We helped out this woman, her name was Miss Sunshine, and her son. And they were living out of their car for a little while. They were in a motel here and there. Their house got flooded by the hurricane down there. And basically no one was going to help them. So we came in, we helped them. And a lot of people assume that the government will take care of these people, that these natural disasters that they incur, that somehow somebody else will take care of it. But a lot of times that we're finding in this volunteering world is that a lot of people don't have the government to rely on. A lot of people really rely on folks like us and these initiatives. So it's really important work that we're doing.
Well, because even the funds they get,
Right.
it's not going to cover the labor, the
Right.
materials they need because it just isn't enough.
Right.
It just isn't enough.
Yeah. The assistance that they get is very little and often way too little for what they need. So yeah, it's really important work that we're doing.
I agree.
And we'll be doing some similar stuff on our mission trip. So we'll be going to Emmaus Farm, and that'll be in Vanceburg, Kentucky. And that's a good time. We were there 2 years ago. And again, helping out people in the same capacity in a really unique way. So any questions on those trips or how you can join us, please reach out.
Okay.
And then I have a question for you guys. So how could somebody get active in their court or community And why does it matter that they host that outreach event or charity event with COF? So it's one thing if I wanted to go out there, say I'm a COF member, right? And I see a need in my community. Why is it firstly important that I go and help and do something? But then why is it also important that I register it as an FGC event and do it through COF?
Well, it could also be a matching fund.
That too.
So they could see in their church bulletin that there's going to be a matching fund coming up and
Yeah.
offer to help with that. Because when there's a matching fund, there's lots of little pieces that of the puzzle that all have to be put together. Getting the supplies, cleanup. I mean, there's a lot of things to do. The cooking. With COVID, it's been a lot of drive-through, so people just packaging the food and running it out to the car.
Right.
So that's a good way to volunteer. If you know your court's doing a matching fund for something in your community, of course you would want to be involved
Right.
and volunteer to help on that.
Most certainly.
And there's about 180 matching funds a year. So it's a good way to get involved.
Yeah.
Volunteer, get out there and help. And I've done it. I've done fish fries and I love being out there with all the people.
Oh, yeah.
And the agents are there. They have a little table set up a lot of times. So everybody can be involved
Oh, yeah.
and then enjoy the food.
Of course.
Do we have to have a court to do a Feeding God's Children event?
That's a good question. And the answer is no.
No.
You don't have to have a court to do an FGC event. We've had quite a few people that didn't have a court do FGC events. So they still register it the same way and they work with their parish or their friends and kind of host an event. And we've seen a lot of good events coming out of places where there wasn't a court.
Yeah. It's also a great way, especially if you are a member or an agent, to get people to know about COF. If you want to grow your basis, doing outreach events, we have Feeding God's Children t-shirts that we can send you. And it helps get the name out, gets the recognition out. So especially if you want to grow your court, that's the best way to do it.
I mean, it's very eye-catching if you're driving down the street and you see 60 people in the FGC shirts.
Yeah.
Right.
Makes you want to stop and say, okay, how can I get involved? I can see you're doing something good.
Right.
So
Right.
the visibility is great.
Mhm.
Right. And that's why it's so important not just to go out in the community and do stuff, but do it through COF. So we could kind of grow our reach and people could learn about how important we are to the community.
And we can help you set up things. We are more than willing to call organizations, to call vendors, anything you need help with. That's what we're here for.
And they can partner with
Yep.
Yeah.
another organization,
Yeah. They can,
church.
yeah. So with the church or like Feed My Starving Children, things like
Yeah.
that, the schools. Oh, yeah.
I know, I love all the pictures in the magazine when you see all the little kids in school with their t-shirts on.
Right.
They're so excited. Yeah, they're so cute. All right, how does someone become a COF member? Through our great agents.
That's right. That's right.
And if you
Yes.
don't know who your agent is, call in and we'll be glad to help you.
Yes.
And if you go to the website as well, right at the top, it says Agents in Court. You click on that, click on your state, find your closest big town, and you should be able to find them right away. So
Yeah.
I'll give you their direct line. Call them up, bother them.
Yeah. They're a lot of fun.
That's what they're there for.
That's right.
The more calls, the better.
Right.
Okay, how do we get put on the list to get a COF magazine if you're not on there?
Ooh, good question. So if you want to have our COF magazines mailed to your house, just give us a call, email us, and we'll go ahead and put your email and your address on file so you can start receiving your COF magazine today.
But a lot of people have gone green and they just go online and.
Yeah.
That too. That too.
All magazines are available online, and editor@catholicforester.org will get you if you want it on paper.
I think there's a lot of archive too, right?
Mhm.
Yeah.
That's correct. Yep.
So what else do we have? Any questions?
No, I'm good, thanks.
Very good.
All right, well,
Well-
I don't have any other questions. How about you?
No, I think that's all that I had as well.
Yeah.
Again, I have to say, I really like this having coffee, although I have water today. But this was nice. If you guys have any other questions out there, please reach out to us. Also engage with our social media. We always like to see people interacting with that as well. But no, this was great.
There's a lot of information online.
Yes,
Yeah,
I mean, there's forms, everything you need is there.
right.
The court officer needs a form. Sometimes when I say, well, it's online, they're like, oh, I'm not that good on the computer. So we're glad to help by putting it in the mail too, but we'll help you any way we can.
Yeah. And hopefully we'll do more stuff like this to engage with people and to kind of show them what's going on throughout the year. So we're kind of got some other stuff cooking as far as the content goes. So keep an eye out for that.
I'll plug next week
Thank
at
you.
noon. We have our outreach webinar. So this is our fraternal forum. Our outreach webinar has a specific theme and topic. We're going to be talking about local court stuff. That'll be Wednesday, June 2nd at noon.
Yeah.
So if you need to register for that, that's on the website under webinar podcasts and webinars, or email outreach@catholicforester.org and we'll get you set up.
Yep.
Thank you for joining us.
Yeah. Thank you, Sherry.
Thank you.
All right.
Awesome.
Anyone need anything, call, feel free.
Sounds
Have a
good.
good one.
Thank
You
you.
too. Happy Memorial Day.
Oh, you,
Happy
Memorial Day.
Day.
Thank you.
bye-bye.